and get that accomplished. I hope I answered your question. Any other questions?
Joe, what is your plan to revitalize Dunwoody Village?
Great. So what is my plan to revitalize the Dunwoody Village? So let's talk about that. Right now, you have on one hand, it's pure free markets, it's private property, government hands off. That's one side of the spectrum. On the other hand, we can be proactive and leverage some of the tools in the toolbox that we're not currently leveraging. So if we look at our cities such as Sandy Springs, do you know that Sandy Springs City Center over there, the old Target, that Mayor Eva Galambos started, the first mayor of Sandy Springs? Not a single dime was raised extra for property taxes by the homeowners of Sandy Springs. That's called a revenue bond. They actually have some revenue stream coming in and they pay for that entire city center without raising a tax dollar off of the taxpayers in Sandy Springs for the property tax. Do you know Brookhaven just announced a $15 million bond based on the revenue stream of additional hotel motel tax to invest in their trails? These are examples of cities around us using tools in the toolbox to get things done. Now, let's talk about the Dunwoody Village. Let's talk about some low-hanging fruit first of all. It's not just one property owner. The inner property owner is owned by Regency, where Fresh Market is, and around them are out parcels. They're all individually privately owned. So the empty banks, down where Ace Hardware is, all those things, those are privately owned individual pieces of land. And when it was all developed, DeKalb County had them mandate all this extra parking. So think about the Jiffy Lube, the Goodyear. They're independent of one another, and they plop down zoning as if they're in the middle of the country, nowhere. And they have all that extra parking. So let's talk about low-hanging fruit. First of all, shared parking. Adopt shared parking policy so that people that are parking in the village can park together in one place. Start looking at acquiring some of these small out parcels and building a green space. So we're not talking about ripping down and replacing the village as is today. Work around the edges. So the post office, I would be actively lobbying the post office at the federal level to sell that land to the city. Keep a retail shop open next to Carbonera Trattoria, sure, but let's move that operations. Basically, it's a warehouse operation. They have semi-trucks and tractor trailers coming in there every day. And that's counterintuitive to what the citizens wanted for Dunwoody. They want a walkable, livable center. Imagine getting that and having that green space. Talk about walkable center. You know, back behind Publix, to get to the branches, there literally is a hole in a wooden fence with an informal path to walk. So people live in the branches, walk today, and guess what? I went back there the other day. There was new boards placed in there, and somebody knocked out the board so they can continue walking. Back in our 2011 master plan approved for the Dunwoody Village, it talked about adding small walking paths to get to the village. Yet we haven't done that. We could easily put that in there. Let's just add some more wider sidewalks around the whole perimeter, because if you're walking on Mount Vernon, how do you go walk into the daycare? How do you walk to the Carbonera Trattoria? You gotta walk in an asphalt parking lot. There's not even sidewalks there. So we can do some low-hanging fruit, adding wide sidewalks, working on acquiring some out parcels, getting some public green space in there. Again, it's leveraging the tools in our toolbox, nipping away at the edges to affect change today, not in 20 years.